That feeling, you know the one. The heart thumping a little too fast, the mind racing with a million things to do, that persistent knot of worry sitting heavy in your chest or stomach.
Hmm.
Sometimes it hits you all at once, maybe with a sudden deadline or a piece of unexpected news.
Right.
Other times, it's just the low hum of everyday life, the relentless emails, the pressure to be everywhere at once, the sheer weight of the to-do list that never seems to shrink.
Yeah, that slow build up.
It's the feeling of being utterly overwhelmed, like the demands on you are outstripping your ability to cope.
It's a state that so many of us experience, a pervasive feeling that impacts our physical bodies, our emotional well-being, our thinking, and how we interact with the world.
Yeah,
It can leave you feeling constantly on edge, exhausted, and disconnected.
absolutely. And today, we're really diving deep into that feeling and everything surrounding it. We've been handed a stack of resources specifically focused on understanding and, crucially, finding ways to manage stress and anxiety.
Right.
Think of this as our mission briefing. We're going to unpack these sources, extract the most vital insights, and build a solid toolkit based purely on what they present to us.
Our goal is to give you a much clearer picture of what stress and anxiety are doing, why they manifest the way they do, how they get stuck in persistent cycles, and then lay out a range of actionable strategies presented in this material to help you regain a sense of control and well-being.
Exactly. So join us as we journey through the triggers that kick off this response, how it shows up across different aspects of our lives, the surprising ways it can become self-perpetuating, the ancient biology behind it, and then explore a diverse toolkit of techniques.
Your real toolkit.
Yeah, from calming the physical reactions and challenging unhelpful thinking patterns to practical approaches like effective problem solving and making essential time for yourself. Let's really get into this.
All right, let's start at the very beginning, as the source material does, by defining what stress actually is.
The definition is straightforward but powerful. Stress is fundamentally a response to demands or threats. It's your system reacting when something requires effort, adaptation, or poses a perceived danger.
And the sources place a lot of emphasis on that word perceived, don't they? It's not just the objective reality of an event, but how you interpret it, how you perceive its potential impact on you.
Right.
Whether you see it as manageable or overwhelming, within your control or completely beyond it, that heavily influences the level of stress you experience.
That's a key insight right there. It means our internal state plays a massive role. And the sources break down the kinds of things that trigger this response. They talk about two main types. First, there are the big, significant, stressful events.
Yes, these are the major life occurrences. The material points out that these can be undeniably negative events, like facing a large unexpected bill or having a crucial high-stakes deadline suddenly appear.
Yeah, the obvious stressors.
But intriguingly, they also include events that are typically seen as positive.
Like what? Getting married, moving house, having a baby. These are things we often look forward to. How can they be stressful?
Because even though they are positive, they represent massive change. They require significant adjustment, effort, and can involve a loss of predictability or a feeling of things being out of your immediate control as you navigate the transition.
Oh, okay.
The sources explicitly list getting married, moving house, having a baby, or even retiring as examples of positive life events that are well-known stress triggers.
That's fascinating. It reinforces the idea that stress is about the demand for adaptation, not just whether something is good or bad. And then there's the other major category of triggers, which I think many people live with constantly.
You mean the cumulative effect of several small difficulties?
Exactly. It's not the one huge tidal wave, but the persistent, everyday challenges that just keep coming. The sources highlight examples like the daily soul-crushing commute,
So, the commute.
ongoing worries about the health or well-being of family members, or persistent difficulties within relationships.
These smaller chronic stressors might not individually seem like a big deal compared to a major life event, but when they add up day after day, week after week, they can quietly build into a substantial level of stress.
Yeah.
That can be just as debilitating as a single large event.
So whether it's the big stuff, the small stuff, or more often, a mix of both, these triggers set off a chain reaction. How does this reaction manifest in us? The sources list a wide range of common symptoms, making the point that while each person is unique, there are shared experiences.
They categorize the symptoms clearly, which is helpful. There are the physical symptoms, feeling generally tense, experiencing headaches, noticing increased sweating, feeling persistently tired or fatigued.
Oh, the fatigue is a big one.
Yeah, experiencing changes in appetite, either eating much more or much less, or sleep patterns, feeling physically on edge, having faster or shallower breathing, or a racing heartbeat.
Oh, the physical ones are so undeniable. That tight knot in your stomach or shoulders, the headache that just won't quit, and the racing heart is classic. It really feels like your body is reacting to something, even if you can't pinpoint what exactly.
It does, and we'll get into the biology of that. Then, the sources describe the behavioral symptoms.
Oh.
These are the changes in what we do.
Okay.
This can include significant shifts in eating habits, procrastination, putting off tasks that need doing, withdrawing from social situations or loved ones, increasing consumption of smoking, alcohol, or recreational drugs, becoming more irritable or snappy, experiencing forgetfulness, feeling rushed and restless constantly, increased crying, and obviously significant disturbances in sleep patterns.
Procrastination and irritability. Check and check for me when I'm feeling stressed. It's that overwhelming feeling leading to avoidance, isn't it? Or the feeling of being stretched thin, making you short-tempered.
Precisely. And that links directly to the next category, changes in thinking. Stress profoundly impacts our cognitive processes. The sources give examples of typical unhelpful thoughts that can emerge. I can't cope, I can't be bothered, will this ever end, it's not fair. And that really heavy one, I can't escape, there is nothing I can do.
Those thoughts can be absolutely debilitating because they feel like the undeniable truth in the moment, don't they? Like your mind is just confirming how bad things are. I can't cope is such a core stress thought.
They do feel like facts, and recognizing them as thoughts, not necessarily facts, is a crucial step. Finally, the sources list the emotional symptoms, which often overlap with the physical and mental ones. These include pervasive worry, low mood or even depression, anger or increased irritability, and generalized anxiety.
It's like stress throws a wrench into every part of your system, body, mind, emotions, and actions. And the sources make a really critical point. Stress often doesn't just vanish when the initial trigger fades away. Why does it linger?
This is where the concept of the vicious cycle of stress becomes so important, according to the material. The changes in how we think and behave because we're stressed can actually maintain the stress long after the original problem might have lessened or passed.
Wow.
It's like the reaction itself keeps the fire burning.
That's fascinating and a little scary. So, our coping mechanisms or thought patterns become part of the problem. The sources use Michael as an example to illustrate this cycle.
They do. Michael's situation, as described, is grappling with looming deadlines at work and taking on the significant responsibility of caring for his mother, who is showing early signs of dementia.
Oof, that's a lot.
That's a very real, very challenging combination of triggers.
Okay, so those are the triggers. What does his vicious cycle look like, according to the sources?
It starts with those triggers. The source outlines his resulting thoughts. There's too much to do, I don't have enough time, I have no control over anything, and I just can't cope.
Those core negative thoughts we talked about. And how do those thoughts make him feel?
Emotionally, he feels anxiety, nervousness, and anger.
And what happens physically?
He experiences headaches, finds it difficult to concentrate on tasks, and feels his heart racing.
So triggers thoughts, emotions, physical symptoms.
Right.
Now, where do the behaviors come in to keep this cycle going?
The source lists a series of behaviors Michael adopts. He starts avoiding the source of stress, not opening important work emails, putting off difficult tasks, leaving things unfinished.
Avoidance.
To cope with the feeling of being overwhelmed and anxious, he engages in excessive worry and overthinking without taking action. He increases his alcohol consumption, he becomes snappy and irritable with his partner and children, and crucially, he cuts back significantly on family activities and anything he used to find fun or relaxing.
Ah, I see it now. The feeling of I can't cope and there's too much thoughts leads to anxiety and feeling overwhelmed, emotions physical. This overwhelming feeling makes him avoid the work tasks behavior. But avoiding the tasks means they pile up even more, which reinforces the original thoughts. There's even more to do. I really can't cope.
Exactly.
This increases his anxiety and physical symptoms, making him feel even worse, which leads to unhelpful coping behaviors like drinking more or withdrawing, which might provide temporary relief but ultimately don't solve the problems and damage his relationships, adding new stressors. It's this self-perpetuating loop.
Exactly. The behaviors he uses to try and escape the stress or the feeling of being overwhelmed, avoidance, unhealthy coping like drinking, withdrawal actually prevent him from confronting the problems effectively.
Right.
They stop him from discovering that he could potentially manage the tasks or that the intense feelings would eventually subside. Instead, these behaviors reinforce the helplessness and maintain the stressful state.
It keeps you stuck.
It does. The sources really encourage you, the listener, to map out your own potential virtuous cycles, identifying your triggers, the resulting thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, and most importantly, the behaviors you adopt, especially the ones that might be inadvertently keeping you stuck.
Yeah, that self-awareness seems key.
Recognizing your specific pattern is a powerful first step.
And those patterns are often deeply connected to our biology. The sources spend time explaining the fight or flight response, which is a really foundational piece of understanding stress and anxiety.
It is. The fight or flight response is described as an ancient, hardwired, automatic bodily reaction to perceived danger. It's something we inherited from our ancestors. Back then, survival literally depended on reacting instantly to physical threats, like encountering a predator.
Like a lion jumps out.
Exactly. Your body primes itself for immediate, intense physical action, either to confront the threat, fight, or escape it rapidly, flight.
So it's a system designed for survival in a physically dangerous world.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And here's the crucial point from the sources, a real nugget of understanding for our modern lives. This powerful automatic response kicks in whether the danger is a genuine, immediate physical threat, like that sudden car horn blaring right next to you,
Wow.
or whether it's an imagined threat,
Wow.
like worrying endlessly about a negative outcome that hasn't happened and may never happen.
Wow. So my body can react to a purely mental construct, a what if, with the same biological alarm system designed for a saber-toothed tiger. That's intense.
It is, and the sources explain how anxiety can actually make the system more sensitive. If you're already feeling anxious or keyed up, you become hyper alert, scanning your environment and your thoughts for potential signs of trouble.
Looking for danger.
This increased vigilance means you're more likely to trigger the fight or flight response in situations that aren't truly dangerous.
And then things can get really complicated because you can start becoming afraid of the feeling of the fight or flight response itself.
Precisely. The physical sensations, the rapid heartbeat, the breathlessness, the dizziness, the trembling can be so intense and unfamiliar that people start to misinterpret them as signs of immediate disaster, like having a heart attack or losing their mind or losing control.
Oh, absolutely. That, am I having a heart attack? Thought.
These fearful interpretations of the physical symptoms then add to the overall anxiety, creating a feedback loop.
Which leads to behaviors aimed at avoiding those uncomfortable feelings.
Exactly. The sources detail how this fear of the fight or flight sensations or the situations that might trigger them leads to avoidance behaviors and what they call safety or coping behaviors.
Okay, what are those?
People might start avoiding specific places or situations where they've felt these sensations before, perhaps only going to certain shops when they know they'll be less crowded, or only going out if they have a trusted person with them, or simply leaving a situation entirely if they feel anxiety beginning to rise.
And how does that avoidance maintain the anxiety?
Because by avoiding the situation, you prevent yourself from ever discovering that you could have handled it, or that the anxiety would have naturally peaked and then subsided on its own if you had stayed.
You never learn you're okay.
You never get the chance to learn that the situation wasn't truly dangerous, or that you are more capable of tolerating the discomfort than you thought.
And even if you do go into the feared situation, you might rely on those coping behaviors.
Yes, the sources list examples like holding on to something tightly, compulsively checking things, having alcohol or smoking for nerves, avoiding eye contact, or ensuring you have a clear escape route mapped out at all times.
Little safety nets.
These actions, while offering a temporary sense of safety, also prevent you from learning that you can cope without them. They maintain the belief that you need these crutches to survive the situation, reinforcing the idea that the situation itself is inherently dangerous and your own resources are insufficient.
It's a powerful mechanism that keeps people trapped. So understanding the fight or flight response and its symptoms is key to breaking free. The sources give a fantastic breakdown of why each of those physical symptoms happens during fight or flight. Let's walk through that.
It's truly eye-opening to see the ancient logic behind these uncomfortable feelings. For example, when your thoughts start racing, jumping from one idea to the next, it's because rapid thinking helps you process potential threats quickly and make faster decisions in a dangerous situation.
My brain is on high alert, trying to game out all the possibilities for survival. Makes sense.
And your breathing becomes faster and shallower. This isn't ideal for relaxation, but in a crisis, it maximizes oxygen intake, delivering more oxygen to the muscles in your arms and legs, preparing them for immediate action like running or fighting.
Fueling the escape or the confrontation.
Exactly. Then there's the release of adrenaline from your adrenal glands. This is a powerful hormone that floods your system, instantly signaling to your entire body that it's time to get ready for emergency action.
The chemical go signal.
Yes. And your muscles tense up. This is your body literally coiling, preparing to exert maximum force or speed.
Getting ready to spring.
Your heart rate increases significantly, pumping blood faster. Again, this is to supply those major muscle groups, your legs for running, your arms for fighting with the oxygen and nutrients they need for intense, sudden exertion.
It's all about prioritizing survival functions. What about dizziness? That feels counterproductive in a fight or flight scenario.
It might feel that way, but it can be a consequence of the rapid breathing. If you're taking in a lot of oxygen very quickly, but not engaging in physical exertion to use it up, it can lead to an imbalance in carbon dioxide levels, causing lightheadedness or dizziness.
Unused emergency fuel causing a wobble. Okay, that explains that. And bladder urgency. That one seems particularly inconvenient mid-escape.
Indeed. The sources mention that under extreme stress, certain muscles, including those controlling the bladder, can relax, leading to that sudden urgent feeling. It's a physiological side effect, not exactly designed for the situation, but a consequence of the system-wide stress response.
Just a bodily reaction.
Sweating, on the other hand, is directly helpful. It helps cool the body down, which is essential when you're about to engage in strenuous physical activity in a dangerous situation.
Keeping the engine from overheating. And vision changes.
Your vision can become more acute, often narrowing your focus to the immediate perceived threat. You might experience tunnel vision, intensely focused on the danger, while peripheral distractions fade away.
That makes sense. All resources directed at the threat. Dry mouth.
This happens because blood flow is diverted away from non-essential functions like digestion. Your digestive system effectively shuts down temporarily to send more blood to the muscles.
Which also explains the butterflies or nausea in the stomach, right?
Precisely. With blood flow reduced to the stomach and intestines, you can get those unsettling sensations. And finally, cold hands and feet. This is because blood vessels in your extremities constrict.
Oh, okay.
Again, this isn't great for warmth, but it forces more blood flow towards your core and major muscle groups, ensuring they have maximum resources available for fighting or fleeing.
Wow. That is genuinely fascinating. Every single one of those uncomfortable, sometimes terrifying physical sensations is actually my body's ancient, brilliant system attempting to save my life.
Yes.
It's just that today, the danger is my overflowing inbox, not a bear. Understanding why these things happen feels like a massive step in itself. It demystifies the symptoms.
It really does. It helps you see them as a physiological reaction, not a sign that you are falling apart. And this understanding is a foundational part of the approach that the sources introduce, cognitive behavior approaches, or CBA.
Okay, CBA. The sources present this as a set of techniques for managing symptoms in the here and now.
Yes, it's very present-focused. The core idea is that by changing your cognitions, that is, how you think, and your behavior, that is, what you do, you can effectively manage your symptoms of stress and anxiety.
So it's about actionable steps you can take right now. The sources frame it as a toolkit.
A toolkit of practical strategies you can learn and apply when stress or anxiety levels are high. CBA helps, as we discussed, by taking those overwhelming feelings triggered by problems or events and systematically breaking them down into those interconnected components. The unhelpful thoughts, the unpleasant emotions, the uncomfortable physical feelings, and the counterproductive actions or behaviors.
Making the vicious cycle visible item by item so you know exactly what you're working with and where to apply the tools.
Exactly. It helps you identify the specific entry points for intervention within your own cycle.
All right, let's open up this toolkit. The sources provide a range of strategies. They start with managing the physical symptoms. We can't instantly turn off the fight or flight, but we can work with the body's response.
The first set of strategies involves lifestyle adjustments, and a significant one mentioned is caffeine intake.
Ah, the fuel of modern life for many. The sources give a clear warning here. Caffeine is a stimulant. It can directly increase anxiety symptoms like heart racing and edginess, and it severely disrupts sleep, which we know is crucial for managing stress.
Right, that double whammy. It's found in obvious places like coffee and tea, but also energy drinks, some soft drinks, chocolate, and surprisingly, certain over-the-counter cold and flu remedies.
Really? Cold remedies too?
Some, yes. If you suspect caffeine is contributing to your symptoms, the strong recommendation from the sources is to reduce your intake.
Gradually, I assume, to avoid withdrawal.
Yes, they specifically mention cutting down gradually, perhaps substituting with decaf alternatives, water, or herbal teas. They note that stopping suddenly can lead to withdrawal symptoms like headaches, so a slow reduction is advised.
Good to know for all the coffee lovers out there. What about exercise? This often comes up in discussions about mental health.
The sources strongly support exercise as a tool for managing stress and anxiety. Physical activity triggers chemical changes in the brain that have a positive impact on mood and reduce the physical manifestations of stress, like muscle tension.
It's not just about burning calories, it's directly impacting our brain chemistry.
Absolutely. The benefits listed are significant. It lessens tension and stress, boosts energy levels, counteracting fatigue, improves sleep quality, provides a sense of achievement and accomplishment, can increase motivation, and can help dissipate feelings of anger or frustration.
Sounds like a win-win-win.
It's presented as a really powerful, accessible tool in the toolkit.
And what about substances like alcohol and recreational drugs? The sources address these directly and pretty starkly.
They do. Alcohol is discussed as a sedative that can initially create a feeling of calm. However, this effect is temporary. The sources highlight the danger of relying on alcohol to manage anxiety, as this can quickly lead to increased tolerance and physical dependence.
Meaning you need more.
Meaning you need more and more to feel the same effect.
Which feeds into a cycle of its own.
Exactly. And while it might seem to help you fall asleep, it severely reduces the quality of that sleep, particularly REM sleep, which is vital for rest and emotional processing.
But you wake up feeling worse.
This means the next morning you're likely to feel more anxious, agitated, or low in mood than you were the day before, potentially leading you to drink again, completing a vicious cycle.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The sources also soberly mention that alcohol can lower inhibitions and increase impulsive behavior, including, sadly, increasing risks of self-harm and suicide.
Those are very serious points. And what about illicit drugs?
The material specifically mentions certain substances. Cocaine is noted for its potential to induce panic attacks, and withdrawal symptoms include severe anxiety. Ecstasy is discussed as potentially causing anxiety, feelings of depersonalization, and panic, and can significantly worsen existing emotional problems. Cannabis, often perceived as relaxing, is also listed as potentially inducing panic-type symptoms and increasing a sense of losing control, which is particularly distressing for people already struggling with anxiety.
So the sources are clear. While someone might use these to escape stress or anxiety, they can ultimately exacerbate the underlying problem or create new ones.
That's the message from the sources. They advise anyone with serious problems with alcohol or drugs to consult a doctor or specialist service. They also offer tips for cutting down, like seeking support from friends, family, or support groups.
Getting help.
Avoiding situations or people where you'd be tempted, gradually reducing your intake rather than stopping suddenly, rewarding yourself for progress, and seeking help from local services if needed. It's presented as factual information drawn from their experience.
Okay. Moving from substances to something we all need, sleep. The sources put a lot of emphasis on sleep hygiene as a critical part of managing stress.
And for good reason. Chronic poor sleep has extensive negative impacts listed in the sources. Poor attention, difficulty concentrating, impaired memory, increased irritability and mood swings, poor judgment, slower reaction times, and even brief involuntary microsleeps.
All things that make dealing with stress even harder, so prioritizing good sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. The sources define good sleep not just by length, but by quality, waking up feeling refreshed, falling asleep within about 30 minutes, and understanding that waking occasionally during the night is normal. It's the inability to get to sleep or back to sleep night after night that's the issue.
And they provide specific, actionable tips for improving sleep hygiene. Develop a consistent routine. Go to bed and wake up at roughly the same times every day, including weekends, to regulate your body clock.
Even on weekends? Oh, that's tough.
Well, consistency helps. Only go to bed when you actually feel sleepy. Don't just go because it's a certain time.
That's tough if you're lying there worrying. The source addresses that.
Yes. They advise that if you can't fall asleep after about 20 minutes of trying, get out of bed. Go to another room and do something quiet, calming, and preferably boring, like reading something dull under low light until you feel sleepy again, then return to bed.
Okay.
The key is to avoid lying in bed feeling frustrated, which creates a negative association with your bed.
Don't let the bed become the arena for your worries.
Exactly. Other tips echo the lifestyle points. Avoid caffeine and nicotine for at least 4 to 6 hours before bed, and alcohol for the same time frame, as they interfere with sleep architecture, even if they make you feel drowsy.
Right. Disrupts the quality.
And the golden rule of sleep hygiene.
Hmm.
The bed should be associated primarily with sleep and intimacy. Avoid using it for working, watching TV, eating, or extended worrying sessions.
Keep the bedroom for sleep. Okay, so those are key lifestyle elements. What about direct physical techniques to manage those fight or flight symptoms in the moment? The sources talk about breathing and muscle relaxation.
Breathing is fundamental because, as we discussed, anxiety directly impacts it, often leading to rapid, shallow breathing or overbreathing. This can cause those uncomfortable physical sensations like lightheadedness, dizziness, tingling, and visual disturbances.
So controlling the breath can directly counteract some of the physical stress response.
It can be incredibly effective. The sources detail the relaxed breathing technique. Find a comfortable sitting position. Place one hand on your chest and the other on your abdomen. Focus on breathing so that the hand on your abdomen rises more than the hand on your chest.
Tummy breathing.
This indicates you're breathing lower down, using your diaphragm, which is naturally more calming. Practice slow, deep out breaths, making the exhale slightly longer than the inhale. Pause briefly before inhaling again.
Okay.
You can pair the exhale with a calming word, like relax or peace, mentally.
It sounds deceptively simple, but focusing on that slow exhale really does seem to interrupt the panicked, shallow breathing.
It does. And the sources stress that this takes practice. Don't expect it to instantly fix things the first time you try it when you're highly anxious.
Practice when calm.
Regular daily practice when you're calm builds the skill so you can use it effectively when you need it most. Progressive muscle relaxation is another physical technique.
How does that one help with stress?
The source explains that stress often causes us to hold tension in our muscles without even realizing it. This technique helps you consciously release that tension.
Ah, okay.
It involves systematically tensing specific muscle groups in your body for a few seconds, and then deliberately releasing the tension, noticing the contrast and the feeling of relaxation that follows.
Like tensing your feet really tight, holding it, and then just letting all the tightness drain away.
Exactly. You move through the body, starting with the feet, then calves, thighs, stomach, back, shoulders, arms, hands, neck, jaw, and face. Tense, hold for a few seconds, release slowly, and breathe.
The sources mention this can provide immediate calmness and, over time, make you much more aware of where you carry tension so you can catch it earlier.
Which is invaluable when tension contributes so much to the feeling of being stressed or on edge.
Okay, so we've explored managing the physical side through lifestyle and specific techniques. But as the sources point out, even if you relax your body, your mind can still be buzzing with worries. So managing thoughts is crucial.
This is the cognitive part of CBA in action. The sources state clearly that under stress, our thinking tends to become unhelpful, negative, unbalanced, and unrealistic. We get stuck predicting the worst or doubting our ability to cope.
And the core principle the sources emphasize, which is a real shift in perspective for many, is that it's not the event or problem itself that causes our feelings. It's our interpretation or thoughts about the event that generate the emotional and physical stress response.
That's the absolute heart of the cognitive approach presented. It means you can't always change the trigger, the deadline, the traffic, but you can learn to change how you think about it, and that can change how you feel.
That's powerful.
The sources list characteristics of these unhelpful thoughts.
Yeah.
They're negative, they often pop up automatically without conscious effort, they feel incredibly believable, like absolute facts, and they're often biased.
Biased how?
Leaning towards the negative, overlooking positives, jumping to conclusions.
They feel so convincing in the moment. How do the sources suggest we start to challenge them?
They provide a set of practical questions designed to help you step back and evaluate your thoughts more objectively. These are tools to assess how accurate or helpful a thought really is.
Okay, like what?
Questions like, is there any situation or experience that contradicts this thought, proving it's not entirely true? Is there factual evidence that actually supports this thought? Or am I just assuming if I weren't feeling so anxious or stressed right now, would I see this situation differently?
Oh, that third one is powerful. Anxiety definitely colors your perception. Asking yourself that helps you step outside the anxious mindset for a moment.
It really does.
Yeah.
Other questions include, have I had experiences in the past that show I can cope with difficult situations? Am I assuming I know what others are thinking or what the outcome will be?
Mind reading.
Exactly. What would a friend I trust say about this situation or this thought? Am I focusing only on the negatives and ignoring my strengths or any positives in the situation? Am I definitely predicting the future as if I know it for sure? Right. Will this particular thought or problem matter in a week, a month, or a year? Am I jumping to conclusions without all the information? And critically, when thinking about worst-case scenarios, what are the actual chances of that negative outcome happening?
That last one is a great reality check against catastrophizing. Going through these questions feels like building new mental pathways, actively choosing to look for balance instead of automatically accepting the negative thought.
It is a workout for your brain, as you put it earlier. The goal isn't necessarily to make every thought positive, but to make your thinking more balanced, realistic, and helpful, which in turn reduces the intensity of the negative emotions and physical symptoms.
From managing the mind, let's shift to managing our actions or behaviors. The sources offer several practical behavioral strategies, including problem solving and time management.
Problem solving is included because, as we saw with Michael's example, feeling overwhelmed by problems is a major stress trigger. Stress itself impairs clear thinking, making it harder to find solutions.
Right, your brain freezes.
The sources offer a structured 7-step guide to help you tackle problems systematically when you feel stuck.
A step-by-step map for when your brain feels like mush. Let's hear it.
Okay. Step 1. Clearly identify the problem. Be specific about what needs to be solved. Step 2. Brainstorm all possible solutions. Write down everything that comes to mind, no matter how unrealistic it seems initially.
No judgment brainstorming.
The goal here is quantity and creativity, without judgment. Step 3. Evaluate each potential solution. List the advantages and disadvantages of each one.
A classic pros and cons list for every idea.
Yes. Step 4. Select the solution you think is the most feasible or likely to be effective based on your evaluation. Step 5. Plan how you will implement this solution. Break it down into specific, actionable steps.
The how.
Figure out what needs to be done, when, where, potentially who else might be involved, and what resources you might need.
Making the plan concrete.
Absolutely. Step 6. Try it out. Put your plan into action. And step 7. Review the outcome. Ask yourself, what went well? What didn't go as planned? What could be done differently next time?
Learning from it.
Based on the review, do you need to adjust your current plan and try again? Or does this problem require going back to step 2 to choose or brainstorm a different solution?
That structured process must be incredibly grounding when you feel overwhelmed by a problem. It turns a big, scary challenge into a series of smaller, manageable steps.
It provides a clear framework and prevents you from just spinning your wheels or avoiding the problem altogether. Time management is another behavioral strategy discussed in the sources.
And the sources make a point that this isn't just about squeezing more tasks into your day, right?
Crucially, yes. It's about getting high-priority things done efficiently while also deliberately making time for enjoyment, relaxation, and self-care.
Ah, balance.
It helps you gain clarity on how long tasks realistically take and identify where your time is actually going. The tips provided include familiar ones like making daily or weekly lists, prioritizing tasks ruthlessly.
Ruthlessly. I like that.
Starting your day effectively by getting up on time, setting realistic and achievable goals for yourself, and breaking down large, intimidating jobs into smaller, less daunting chunks.
Breaking down tasks is huge. A giant project feels impossible, but doing just the first 3 steps, that feels doable.
It's about reducing that initial feeling of overwhelm. Other tips include building in regular breaks throughout the day, keeping a diary or calendar to track commitments and plan ahead, delegating tasks where possible instead of feeling like you have to do everything yourself.
Delegation is hard, but important.
Being generally organized to avoid wasting time searching for things and planning ahead on multiple timescales daily, weekly, and even monthly.
The sources also suggest a specific exercise. Review how you currently use your time.
This can be very insightful. The idea is to track a typical day or week and honestly note what you did, how long it took, and its actual priority level. Then reflect on it. Was this the best use of my limited time and energy?
Ouch. Tough questions.
Was I avoiding high-priority items until they became a crisis? Was I getting bogged down in low-priority tasks because they felt easier? Could I have delegated or postponed anything? Where was my time just disappearing?
That kind of honest audit could reveal some unhelpful patterns.
It absolutely can. The sources suggest using this review to then plan your time more effectively, creating daily or weekly timetables that factor in not only work tasks, but also when you are most productive and, importantly, blocking out time specifically for breaks and relaxation.
Scheduling relaxation. That feels counterintuitive sometimes when you're stressed and feel like you have no time.
But the sources emphasize it's essential, which leads us to self-care. They define it as actively looking after yourself emotionally and physically, and they draw a very direct link to self-worth.
Self-worth. How does self-care connect to that?
The sources suggest that deliberately taking time and effort to care for yourself sends a powerful message to your brain that you are a worthy person deserving of that care. They state that having a healthy sense of self-worth is strongly linked to your ability to manage stress.
So it's not a luxury or being selfish. It's a fundamental building block of resilience and stress management. What are some tips for enhancing self-care?
The sources list several. Identify activities that genuinely help you feel better, recharged, or calm. This is personal. It could be spending time with friends, having quiet alone time, engaging in physical activity, pursuing a hobby, or simply doing nothing for a bit.
Find your thing.
The sources even mention an appendix with example activities. Once identified, the key is to schedule these activities. Put them in your calendar like any other important appointment and commit to them, even if it's just short slots.
Treat it with the same importance as a work meeting.
Yes. Other tips include integrating small moments of self-care into your day. Where possible, maybe a few minutes of deep breathing during your commute, a quick stretch break, a mindful walk during lunch, or listening to calming music.
Little pockets of peace.
Know when and how to say no to requests or demands that would overload you and compromise your well-being. Regularly check in with yourself emotionally and physically. Listen to what your body and mind are telling you that they need. Consider a digital detox from screens, and actively work on your work-life balance.
Work-life balance gets specific attention. What are the tips there?
Take proper breaks during the workday, ideally away from your desk. Recognize the crucial importance of support networks and leisure activities, and make sure you don't sacrifice these entirely for work.
Don't let work eat everything.
Aim to work smart, not just long hours. Utilize time management, prioritize, and try setting time limits for specific tasks. Take responsibility for your own boundaries by speaking up respectfully if demands feel unreasonable.
Setting boundaries.
And try to create a physical or mental line between work and leisure time, perhaps by having a designated workspace at home that you can physically leave or close the door on at the end of the day.
All sound steps to prevent work from completely consuming you and becoming an overwhelming stressor. Another behavioral aspect the sources cover is being assertive.
Assertiveness is presented as a key skill to prevent becoming overwhelmed by unreasonable demands from others. The sources define it beautifully. It's about being open and concerned with the rights and feelings of other people, while simultaneously clearly establishing and standing up for your own rights, needs, wants, feelings, and opinions.
So it's finding that sweet spot between being too passive, letting people walk over you, and being aggressive, disregarding others' feelings. It's respect both ways.
Exactly. It's about clear, direct, respectful communication. The sources state that being assertive helps build clear expectations in relationships and prevents you from ending up in stressful situations where you might feel taken advantage of or resentful because you haven't expressed your boundaries.
How do you do it? What are the tips?
Tips on how to be more assertive include: first, decide clearly what it is you want or need to say. Second, state it clearly, simply, and specifically. Avoid vague language. Third, support your words with congruent delivery. Your tone of voice, body language, and facial expression should match your assertive message. Calm but firm.
Body language counts.
Fourth, don't allow yourself to be manipulated or guilt-tripped. Fifth, genuinely listen to the other person's perspective. And sixth, where appropriate, aim for a win-win compromise rather than a confrontational outcome.
The sources even suggest practicing by thinking of a past situation where you wished you had been more assertive and writing out exactly what you could have said clearly and assertively.
Rehearsing can make it feel much less intimidating when a real situation arises. Finally, under behavioral strategies, the sources discuss the vital role of social support networks.
Leaning on friends and family when you're stressed is intuitive, but the sources give tips on actively strengthening these networks, especially when stress makes you want to withdraw.
They do. They highlight that friends are crucial during times of stress and change. Tips for enhancing your social network, even when time is tight, include trying to combine activities. Maybe meet a friend for a walk or run or join a class together.
Multitasking your social and other needs. Smart.
Yes. Aiming for regular contact, even if it's just a quick weekly call or a monthly meetup, helps maintain those connections. They also suggest actively making an effort to talk to new people and mingle in social situations rather than waiting to be approached.
Be proactive.
A simple but effective tip they mention for being a good conversationalist and putting others at ease is to ask them questions about themselves.
People generally appreciate being asked about themselves. And it takes the pressure off you feeling like you have to carry the conversation, which can be helpful if you're feeling anxious.
It shifts the focus outward, which can be a relief.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the sources also touch on the topic of medication. It's important, as they note up front, that the service providing these resources doesn't prescribe medication, but provides information to help you make an informed choice in discussion with your doctor.
So they're offering context, not medical advice or prescriptions. This is just what the sources say.
Exactly. They list some commonly prescribed medications for symptoms of anxiety and depression. These include types of antidepressants known as SSRIs, like citalopram or sertraline, and SNRIs, like venlafaxine.
They also mention benzodiazepines, such as diazepam, which have a calming effect, and beta blockers, like propranolol, which can help manage the physical symptoms of anxiety, such as a racing heart or trembling.
The sources provide a brief explanation of how antidepressants are thought to work, citing research that suggests a link between anxiety and depression and reduced levels of certain neurotransmitters in the brain, specifically serotonin and noradrenaline,
The mood chemicals.
which are involved in regulating mood and emotions. Antidepressants are used to increase the availability of these neurotransmitters.
So, a biochemical perspective on some of the symptoms. The sources mention it takes time to see the full effects.
Yes, they note that it can take up to 6 weeks for the full benefit of antidepressants to be felt. They emphasize the importance of taking medication consistently, as prescribed.
Stick with it.
They also recommend that once you start feeling better, it's often advised to continue taking the medication for at least 6 months to significantly reduce the risk of relapse.
What about concerns people might have about taking medication? The sources list some common reasons people are hesitant or might stop.
They mention concerns about addiction, believing the medication isn't working, safety concerns, worry about side effects, or being concerned about what others might think.
Yeah, stigma is real.
The sources directly address the addiction concern regarding antidepressants, stating clearly that SSRIs and SNRIs are not addictive in the way benzodiazepines can be. However, they note that stopping them suddenly can cause discontinuation effects, which might feel like withdrawal symptoms like increased anxiety, dizziness, and poor sleep.
So the key is, if you want to stop, talk to your GP and taper off gradually. Don't just stop cold turkey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the strong recommendation. They also add that while side effects can occur, they often subside within about 7 to 10 days, and that finding the right medication and dosage can sometimes involve a process of trial and error with your doctor.
Okay.
Again, this information is purely for educational purposes, drawn from the source material, to help someone have an informed conversation with a healthcare professional.
A very important distinction. Finally, the sources discuss the importance of planning for long-term well-being and potential setbacks. Not just getting better, but staying better.
This is about creating what they might call a staying well plan, or a plan for the future. The sources suggest identifying your initial symptoms, or the very first signs you notice when your stress or anxiety starts to increase.
Your personal early warning signs.
Knowing these personal red flags is crucial for catching a potential setback early.
Recognizing the early warning signs.
Yes. Yeah. Then, identifying high-risk situations or triggers that you know from experience are likely to increase your stress. The plan should also include knowing what specific actions you can take from the toolkit we've discussed, the techniques you've learned to get back on track, if you notice those early signs or encounter a trigger.
Having your go-to strategies ready.
And finally, knowing the signs that indicate it's time to seek additional help or support beyond your self-management strategies.
And the sources mention that there are professional resources and helplines available if needed.
They list examples of places to get further help, such as helplines or local support services, reinforcing the message that you don't have to manage everything by yourself if things feel overwhelming or you're struggling to apply the techniques.
This deep dive into the source material has been incredibly thorough. We've really mapped out the landscape of stress and anxiety, from the myriad of triggers and symptoms across body, mind, and behavior, to the ancient biology of fight or flight, the self-perpetuating nature of the vicious cycle, and a truly comprehensive toolkit of strategies drawn from the principles of CBA.
We've seen how managing stress isn't a single fix, but a multifaceted approach involving understanding the underlying mechanisms and actively employing techniques that target physical symptoms, challenge unhelpful thought patterns, and modify counterproductive behaviors. It's hitting it from all angles.
It feels like the powerful takeaway here is that while stress and anxiety are deeply wired human experiences, they are not fixed states. The sources provide clear evidence and practical tools that show we can learn to understand our responses and, through conscious effort and practice, adopt strategies that interrupt the cycle and build resilience.
And that the tools for doing so are incredibly diverse, ranging from simple physiological techniques like breathing to complex behavioral strategies like problem solving and asserting your needs, alongside crucial lifestyle factors like sleep and social connection. It's about finding what works for you and building your own personal toolkit.
So thinking about everything we've explored today, from the idea that our perception of events is key to stress levels, to the way our thoughts and behaviors can maintain a vicious cycle, and the wide array of tools available in this toolkit, what small, single shift in perception, or what one practical technique from these sources could be the most powerful first step for you, our listener, to begin to break that cycle today?
Just one small step.
Consider how intentionally applying just one idea, perhaps simply challenging one unhelpful thought with a question, or practicing relaxed breathing for just 5 minutes, or scheduling that tiny slot for self-care you've been putting off could start to reshape your response to challenges and open the door to feeling more in control. What's the one thing you will try?